What began as a safety clearance around a high-tension power line in Makoko is now triggering far-reaching economic consequences for one of Lagos's largest informal settlements. Beyond the loss of homes, the demolition has disrupted livelihoods, schooling, food supply chains, and local commerce, raising concerns about rising poverty, lost productivity, and the broader cost to Lagos's urban economy. Nnimmo Bassey, environmental activist, joins me now to assess the economic impact. Thank you so much for your time this morning. And we know that it's an informal community, fishing community. Give us a perspective and a picture of just how much of an economic cost this demolition to Makoko residents, considering lost homes, fishing, and so much more.
Well, the demolition of Makoko has so many implications, as you highlighted, because this was or is an area of concentrated living by Lagosians. It's a very densely populated place, and it's a creative hub because the people in Makoko did everything to survive despite the fact that they were least served by the state. And so you have schools, you have orphanages, you have medical centers, all floating on water, and all by the initiative of the people. We also have a very thriving fishing market apart from the fishery economy. And so a sudden destruction of this community means the erasure of a vast number of people and a vast diversity of economic activities. It's simply incredible. Just visiting Makoko as it is today takes your breath away, because it's like in a situation where a community is not served by the state and suddenly all the state does to come to inflict harm and damage on them, it's like a non-recognition of the contributions made by the people of Makoko to the economy of not just Lagos State, but to Nigeria. These are people who just live to feed the city, to feed the mega city. But the city, what the city does to them is to swallow them. It's like Lagos simply eats up the poor. It's like the rich are afraid of the poor, and the poor are all struggling for survival. And they need support, not this kind of attack, and not the flimsy excuses being given by those in authority in that city, in that state.
And you've highlighted that, this community live, or should I be using past tense now, sadly, to feed the mega city. Before I came on, my makeup artist was asking a question about this demolition. Was wondering, seafood prices, are they going to go up? So give us a picture of their contribution to the mega city and, what this could mean for the mega city economy as a whole.
That's an interesting question, because especially the fishing, because this is what they do, the fishing business. They've been complaining about the sand filling around the Temela Bridge, sand filling that has distorted the ecosystem and the biodiversity, and that means also lessening the quality of fish that could be caught nearer to the community. And so the fishers have had to go further deep into the ocean to catch the kind of fish they're selling. And that means they need more investment because they have to have bigger boats, bigger engines, and all that. And, Makoko is a place you go to and you really get fresh fish. I've had occasion when I've crossed some bridges in Lagos Island, and you find people sitting by the side of the bridge selling fish and pretending that it's fresh fish, whereas these are imported fish, ice fish imported from somewhere else. But this is the place that contributes to the real healthy food for Lagosians. And so Lagosians would now may have to depend on fish coming from farther off, and of course, some may be of dubious quality. And so, but destroying the economy of thousands of people has a lot of direct impact on the well-being of the city, of the state, because these are citizens of the state. And if they suddenly become jobless, that has a lot of social implications for everyone.
Yes, so the social implications for everyone, but even that, the economic implications for those affected, the families whose livelihoods depend entirely on fishing, how will the government help them? Is there any plan in the works to help them replace their lost income, so that they don't fall into deeper poverty?
I don't know how government can repair the harm that is inflicted on the poor people of Makoko is difficult to imagine because all the wrong steps have been taken. I've heard top leaders that say they consulted people over 2 years and so on and so forth, but talking to people over 2 years or even 10 years without giving them options, without agreeing with them that this will, if you want to relocate them, give them where you are relocating them to, give them alternative housing, give them alternative ways of survival, and then pay them for the loss, for the investment they made in that place. And don't forget that Makoko is very iconic of Lagos, iconic location in Lagos. People know it as the Venice of Africa, as the Venice of Nigeria. We've seen other underserved communities elsewhere in the world that have been improved, that have been upgraded, and they bring a lot of income because it attracts tourism. If you make the place healthier for the people, you're also having a healthier workforce in the state. So how would government repair this? I believe one thing that government should do is to admit that they've made a big mistake here. They cannot tell they had the right to demolish proper buildings up to 200 meters, 250 meters from the power lines. No. There are limits in the law to how far you could stop people from coming close to the power lines. And it's legitimate to stop people from exposing themselves to harm under power lines. And the people of Makoko agreed to this. That's why they agreed to demolitions within 30 meters. They even agreed to 50 meters. They agreed to 100 meters. And now we're hearing talks of 250 meters. Some places have gone up to 300 meters already. So if 250 meters was the limit that the government imagined they had a right to go, why have they gone beyond even that?
And I think another angle, and to balance the conversation, some questions that are being asked, was there any other way around this? Was this the only way? We know the Lagos state government has come forward to defend the actions of the state, saying it was in the interest to protect lives and property. It was, from his words, a disease-invested neighborhood. NGOs were profiting off of this community, collecting grants but not serving the community, and all of that had to stop. So to stop all these things that he has highlighted, do you think there was any other way around this, or was this the only way?
That obviously what has happened is not a solution at all. It's a means of compounding the problem for the people of Lagos State, or whoever, the residents of Lagos State. Now, the excuses given by the state that the place was a disease-infested place, that is very specious. I mean, this is a very hollow argument. We could equally say that the whole nation is disease-infested because we have pollution all over the country. Look at the drainages, look at the pollution in Niger Delta, look at the issues of pollution along the rivers across the whole nation, from north to south, east to west. Are we going to demolish all the communities living close to water bodies across the nation? No, we're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Why Makoko? The argument is that the government and the speculators want to have shiny projects that would be out of reach of the poor, just like we have in the Co-Atlantic. I mean, you have a beautiful place, beautiful buildings, you've taken over Bad Beach, you've taken all that. Morocco was destroyed in the 90s and all that. You keep on doing it because you can get away. It's a reign of impunity in the world. When you see that impunity is paying off the rich and the powerful somewhere else, oh, well, we can equally do that in Lagos. And that's what we're seeing. And then to say that NGOs are profiting from the misery of the people of Makoko is to be very, very uncharitable, because NGOs and the community people themselves have done a lot to make life bearable, to make life more livable. I've been to Makoko so many times, and I've seen how vibrant the people are, how much they do just to survive, and how much they needed encouragement. So the best thing government should have done would have been to study the situation and upgrade, provide services, provide sanitation, clean up the place, and help people build stronger, better houses. The houses that we found in Makoko were primary examples on how to combat global warming and the sea level rise. We have the communities elsewhere along the Nigerian coastline, Ayetoro communities, Sangana in Bayelsa State, Ibuno in Akwa Ibom State, and the rest of the places that we need to study how best to construct buildings in areas that are flood prone. And that Makoko would have been a prime laboratory to learn to do that. You know, destroy Makoko doesn't even portend a very positive outlook for Lagos in terms of flooding, because the water bodies there, really, there's likely going to be sandfield and turned into a concrete city, absorbing a lot of the flooding that would have sunk other places and pushed other communities underwater in Lagos. So we're doing a big disservice, not only to the people of Makoko, but to Mother Earth, to nature.
I think we'll definitely be tracking what happens to that now demolished neighborhood. And obviously those who once called that place home. We know that that community, and part of the things that were demolished were schools. There are schools within that community, and now there are thousands of children out of school. What would you say are the long-term economic consequences if this disruption leads to higher dropout rates and reduced earning potential?
You know, if we were speaking about maybe 100 people being displaced, it would have been easier to imagine what will happen. And it would be easy to can now relocate them somewhere else and get their life moving again. But we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people demolished, having their properties, their houses, their community demolished. Just at the beginning of a new year, the timing is very hurting. And, so now I'm personally in contact with some of the leaders who were running, the young people who were running schools, educational systems in the community that have now been destroyed, some of whom have been forced to even dismantle their buildings by themselves. And, some of them are not able to get to wrap around their heads what is going to happen to the children. But now they have to look for new locations. They have to look for where would the children, the parents stay? How would they get to get the children back to such locations? And now the people are scattered all across the state, which may be what's going to happen. How would the people whose means of livelihood been destroyed able to afford to send their children to school? So definitely we're going to see a dropout. It's not a dropout of most of those children, unfortunately. We're having the future of those very, very difficult future for the children, because the trend on which they were getting education and getting some attention by those who were providing care for them, all that has been disrupted. So you're going to have the children out of school, many of them out of school. You're going to have them dropping out and not having opportunities of building a future for themselves. It is a very sad event that we've seen in Makoko. Now, every indice regarding the lives of the people who have been displaced, they all point in the wrong direction. And government should not be looking for excuses. It's no time to look for excuses. We have seen what they've done elsewhere in Lagos when demolitions have been carried out. So it's not like this is the first time we're seeing this happening, and it's just a system of power is right all the time, might is right all the time. We can't run our lives and society this way.
Indeed, and hopefully we see a shift in that regard. And there are questions now on how the government will plan to balance the economic benefits of clearing the power line corridor against the economic losses being imposed on over 80,000 residents. Is there any way to remedy this situation?
No, you asked a very difficult question, and I could simply just say, no, there's no way to remedy it. But every problem has a solution. So government should be called out to announce to the people, let the governor go to Makoko, call a town hall, call a demolition site meeting, because that's not a town hall, because the demolition community call a meeting of this community and tell them and discuss with them what the alternatives are. To just push people off, thousands of people off, and then leave them to struggle to survive is a very big act of disservice by politicians who've been elected to serve the people. And even though we've heard that they're going to stop the demolitions only on the waterfront, they will not demolish all of Makoko, so that maybe they will not extend to Bariga. We're waiting to see what's going to happen to Bariga and other communities along that belt. Now, after demolishing the waterfront and building the shiny things they're planning to build, theaters, hotels, housing estate that the poor cannot afford, now you're still going to look at the part of Makoko that is not on water. And you may say, oh, well, this is not looking pretty enough. Somebody even said they should paint their roofs. Painting the roofs of buildings that are not being demolished could add to economic value, you ask me, because somebody's going to sell the paint and somebody's going to provide the labor of painting the roof. But this is actually nonsense. And we've gone into a big pit. You don't escape a pit by digging deeper into it. So government has to retrace its steps and help the people rebuild what they've destroyed.
Right, and I think important point you raised there, that community engagement, we can't call it a town hall, but there needs to be some meeting to see what can be done in this situation. But thank you so much for your time and perspective on the show. Environmental activist Nnimmo Bassey.
Thank you very much.